What's up, people? I am back for another video. I know I said I was gonna review Love Hurt, not Love Hurts, Hard Eyes. I'm still gonna do that. I'm actually just gonna do that tomorrow afternoon. I actually originally was gonna do it early afternoon today, but I couldn't, so I'm just gonna do it tomorrow afternoon because I wanted to roast this Screen Rant article. So it's an impromptu Screen Rant is gay, and I'm actually gonna credit my friend Mara for telling me about this article. So, um, they announced, like I said, I talked about it last week. They announced Buffy. They're doing a Buffy revival, and I gave my feelings on that. And now I remember who I thought the creator was, who should have directed it. It was Drew Goddard. He directed Cabin in the Woods. He's worked on a lot of he's worked on Buffy and Angel. I truly believe he should. If he was running the show, I'd have much more faith. But anyway, that's besides the point. This article is titled "The Buffy Slayer Vampire Slayer Reboot Can Finally Fix One of the Worst Characters," and they're talking about Xander. There's been a big Xander hate. There's a lot of Xander hate, especially on Twitter. Like, I saw a tweet the other day talking about Xander didn't deserve these women. It was Cordelia and Anya. And, it's a lot of, like, your typical, they hate Xander because he's a misogynist. I'm already reading one of the reasons now. I'm going to get into that one in a second. But it's like, I think a lot of it is supposed misogyny because, he was a teenage boy that, especially in the 90s, but let's be fucking real, most teenage boys still fucking act like this now. They think they're the shit, and they want women to think they're, attractive, and they want all the hot women. I mean, come on, that's a thing. I mean, and this idea that Xander, and I'll just spoil one of the reasons I'm already reading the titles, is he fails to truly grow in all seven. What? I'm gonna go more into it, but like, Xander at one point helped save the world, and I'm not even like a big Xander fan. He's a good character, but he's not like one of my favorite characters, and obviously compared to some other characters, he just doesn't compare. But the level of hate I see for Xander is fucking ridiculous. Like, it's to a point where, not all, but I think there's a portion of people, like, and I guess I'll just say this more geared towards the women that don't like Xander. I don't know if it's like, I put this on Twitter. I really think it's because maybe he reminds them of some of their exes or something. I don't know what it is, because Xander, not a perfect character, but nobody on the Buffy show is perfect. One of the things that makes Buffy great is how fallible all the characters are. Not even just Buffy, like Angel. A lot of those characters are fallible. I mean, fucking one of my favorite characters, and he arguably had my favorite arc of all the characters. Wesley, the mistakes he's made. Obviously, the big one with Connor in season 3, and working with Holtz and all that. He's made mistakes. Obviously, Buffy has made a lot of mistakes. And a lot of most people's favorite character in Buffy is Spike. He's like, if you ask a lot of people, especially Buffy fans, who is their favorite character, or people who even just started watching Buffy, more than likely it's going to be Spike. And I get it, he's a vampire and he had no soul, right? But he's done a lot of bad shit, and we still like him as a character. I don't understand. I've even seen I've seen some comments where they're like, oh, Xander's like the fake nice guy. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's friends with Willow. He's helped save her countless times. And one of the things Xander's like the glue of the group, if you think about it, because he's the only normal guy. You can argue Giles, but Giles is it's in a way like knowledge is his power. And he actually is a skilled fighter, and he knows about like a lot about lore about all these creatures and stuff. He's a watcher. So I'm not saying he has powers, but you can to an extent say acknowledges his power. Xander's just a normal dude that got roped in this because his friend was killed. His best friend in the first episode was killed. And I guess we can start getting to the article now, but it's just the Xander hate is ridiculous. Like, it's like it's to a point where I'm like, it's irrational almost. Like, there's another character I think it almost gets in an irrational hate too, and it's Riley. Riley's not perfect, and I don't really love what they did with him in season 5 more just because it was clearly obvious that he was leaving the show. And I love Buffy, but the one thing, if I had one criticism of the show, is how they handle characters that are leaving. They'll start acting out of character just so you can set them up leaving. Like, there's a couple times, and maybe I'll talk about this in another video, where like maybe like I'll talk about like just I love Buffy, but maybe go into like my criticisms of certain things in the show. I think I kind of done that, but like maybe in a specific video it'd be interesting to talk about. But Xander he's your normal average everyday dude that gets roped into this. But what he does throughout the 7 seasons, he fucking by the end of the fucking end of season 7, he loses a fucking eye. He gets married, with Anya, or he wants to get married, and I hope they don't bring up how he treats Anya or him leaving the fucking altar, because if anything, that's more the writing in season 6, because I like 6, but 6 has some big writing issues, and I think that was one of them. Breaking up on Xander and Anya was stupid. I've always thought it was dumb how they did it, especially when they kind of, by the end of season 7, set them up getting back together. So it's like, why did you break them up? You should have just had them stay together. I think that could have been the one positive about that whole season, because I felt like the big problem with that season, I think they made everything miserable. You needed one light in that season. But anyway, but before we get started here, tomorrow I will be doing Love Hurts, like I mentioned. I'm gonna try to do it like early tomorrow so I can get that done, and then tomorrow evening we'll be reviewing Under Siege 2 finally, and then Wednesday the plan is to roast a really bad Seagal film. Thursday I'm gonna try to find like a horror slasher, like a Valentine's horror. Probably more likely it's gonna be Valentine, because I think that's like the only other big Valentine's horror that I can think of. I think Happy Death Day is one too, but I don't. Maybe I'll do those movies at some point, but I might just do Valentine. David Boreanaz is in it, so I'll probably do that one Thursday. Fuck it. Well, that will be our Valentine's horror movie Thursday. We'll be doing that Thursday, day before Valentine's Day. And Friday might be a rarity. If I can get it done, maybe I'll review Cobra Kai overall as a show because the last part's coming out on Thursday. So maybe if I can get it watched, I'll review it as a show, like as an overall series and what I think of it. And it might be a bit of a longer video, but kind of like what I did with Buffy. But yeah, maybe I'll do that because I really liked Cobra Kai. So the highs and the lows of all the seasons. So I'm not gonna go into like every episode, but just like the overall arcs and stuff. So I think that's what I'll do Friday. And then since I don't think there's anything coming out this week that I plan on seeing, the next movie that I at least plan on seeing either in theaters or streaming even or on the seas is The Monkey, but that's not out till next Thursday. That's next Friday. It's out next week. Sorry about the fucking siren there. But other than that, guys, that's so I gave you my schedule for the week, but let's get into this. Also subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. We just did I just We just did our Raw recap stream a bit earlier, so we just did that. Next stream will be our Dynamite review, which will be on Wednesday. So subscribe to that. But other than that, let's get into this article. So one of their first reasons, oh my god, this title, Xander Harris was Buffy Vampire Slayer's biggest issue. No, it wasn't. Honestly, Buffy, like, those first, like, 5 seasons were perfect. 6 and 7 have issues, but I still like them. And I still think overall it added to the lore. But I don't really think there was, like, ever a big issue where I'm like, I hated the show that, like, really brought it down. That I was like, I can call it a big issue if I'm being fucking honest. Xander was the worst of the Scoobies and failed to truly grow. What the fuck? What are you talking about, Screenrant? And let me preface this. I know they write these articles to get reactions, but I love doing these videos, so fuck it. But I just... What do you mean Xander didn't grow? He did. Because he starts off as a... Like... Did you... And these are like the motherfuckers that like to claim media literacy, but are the most media illiterate motherfuckers I've known a fucking man. They, like, holy shit. What do you, like, I'm just stunned on saying Xander didn't grow. Like, even just the first season, he goes from a normal high school kid who's friends with Willow, who ends up helping hunt vampires and monsters, and then by the second season, grows even more. You know, actually gets some military skill, because in one episode, he puts on a costume and learns military. He actually knows how to put together a rocket and all that. That's even a part of a certain episode and part of season 2. Season 3, he gets his own episode and has to learn to adapt while everyone, and he has to almost like live with the fact that he's like a normal man teaming up with a bunch of superpowered, you know, Buffy, who's a Slayer, Willow's a full-on witch by this point. You had Faith, who was just added. Oh, actually, speaking of which, that's another character. A lot of people love fucking Faith. She murdered a guy, turns bad. There's discussions where some people consider the episode where she body swaps with Buffy. Some people consider that rape because she ends up, you know, fucking Riley, and Riley thinking it was Buffy, like actual Buffy. So I've heard people discussions with that, and then there's even a scene where she chokes out Xander in a hookup, and that's even can be seen as rape to some people if a dude did that. I'm just saying, we all love Faith. I love Faith. She's one of my favorite characters. She grew a lot. There's a point where she goes from being a villain to technically a hero again in the end. So it's like, why are those characters? We can like those characters, but Xander's the worst one. The worst thing is he didn't kill anybody. He didn't do none of that. It's just he might have been a bit of a dick sometimes. It's just like Xander throughout the seasons, and by the 7th season he's almost a seasoned vampire hunter. You know, he ends up losing an eye in battle. You want to talk about ultimate growth? The season before that, he saves the world. He's the one who talks Willow down from who's already well into the brink. He talks her down. Buffy and Dawn were like trapped in, like, I think under, like, in the ground with like creatures, while Xander had to be the one to kind of talk Willow down. He pretty much saved the fucking world. But yeah, that's not character growth at all, according to Screenrant. Like, holy shit. The thing is, too, Buffy's one of those shows that I think is a very easy watch. Dude, the boy, you can binge through Buffy quick. It's only 7 seasons, 22 episodes. You can probably get through it. If you watched Buffy every day, I got through it. Granted, I was going through it slow. I would watch 2 or 3 episodes at a time. So it took me a couple months. But you could probably, if you just watch that all day or a lot of the day, you could probably get it done in a couple of weeks, honestly. So it's not a hard watch at all. It is the most, and it's also just like a very easy show to understand. And to say Xander had no growth, you don't have to like the motherfucker. This is my problem too with people. When they don't like a character, or just even in real life, when they don't like a person, they'll just make up shit or try to like say shit just to demean them, even if it's not fucking true. You don't have to like a motherfucker. You don't need to make shit up. How the fuck can you say Xander had no growth? You don't have to like him. But how the fuck can you really say Xander had no growth? Alright, let's see what the reason is. Oh, here's the one. He hasn't aged well. Oh, here it is. However, he's also petulant, self-absorbed, and borderline misogynistic. Oh my god, dude. That's what it is. They just don't like him. He's a dude. What? Where did you get that from? That he thinks that he's the center of the... Oh, guys, I think we have found the article that might have beaten the Trinity one, because the Trinity one might have been the worst one that I've done, because that was just dumb. This might beat it, because now you're just making shit up. Where the fuck did you get Xander thinks he's the center of the what? Yeah, in the one episode in the Zeppo, he does feel inadequate, because that's when he really realized, because when he first starts the show, Buffy was the only Slayer. Yeah, you had Kendra, but there was Angel, but up until like that first season, Buffy's really the only superpower one. Because remember, Willow didn't do the magic thing yet. She was more known for she was actually a computer whiz. If you remember, like those first 2 seasons specifically, at least before she becomes a witch, she was more known for being a computer whiz, which they still do, at least they get carry over in the later seasons still, but. That was more her thing. It was like after season 2, like 3 is when Willow's full on witch. Oz is a werewolf. You had Faith, so you had a second Slayer, and then an Angel's back. So it's just like it was all compounding. In that episode, did he feel inadequate? But never did I fucking feel like he feels like he's the center of the. What are you fucking talking about? Oh, he's talking about with the women. Like with Buffy to Cordelia, with Willow, which, dumb fucks, Screenrant. He did end up hooking up with Willow, and he did date Cordelia. So what do we talk? Dawn? The fuck are you talking about, Dawn? What? Unless they're acknowledging... I don't acknowledge the comics, because there's a story where, Dawn and Xander do get together, and it's fucking gross. It's like Connor and Cordelia. Not as bad as that, because I think there's a difference, because Dawn was obviously manifested, if you know the story, as the key and all that. Whereas Cordelia, technically, she raised him as a baby. So that is worse. But it's the same level. Oh, then he plays with what do you... When did he play with Buffy's feelings? Oh my... Oh... Man, I'm barely even getting through this article. Oh my god, okay. Xander really never grew out of his worst traits. He viewed Willow and Tara's sex... What? Why? Because he makes a couple of jokes, because they're... Holy shit. Oh my god. This is awful, man. This is painful. Because it's like they're not even... Because Xander makes a couple jokes. And keep in mind, he doesn't make them every fucking episode. And it's not... Willow knows Xander. So she doesn't have a problem with the joke. He's made jokes like that even before he knew she was lesbian. Or bi, right? For that all came out. he could never just be the stalwart bliss, but he had a girlfriend. What? Oh, okay. There's another one. Xander was often a terrible friend. Because they're trying to say, well, a lot of his stuff is more on his jokes. Sometimes he berated people. Ah, God. Okay, to bring up the moment where Xander lied to Buffy, there's a debate, though, because I could see it from both sides. I do think it was, to an extent, wrong. He lied. I think he should have told her at least after. Like, I do think it was weird he waited so long to tell her, but I also, part of me is like, the argument for it is she was going to go into a fight with Angel, or Angelus at this point, and Angelus is at this point trying to destroy the world. He probably, you could argue, he didn't want Buffy to get distracted with knowing, and because at that point, she's going to go into that fight just waiting for Angel to come back. So, I don't even think that's a good example to use. And if anything, Buffy calls him out on it in season 7. Like, oh, God. Alright, let me see if I can find another one. He also cajoled her to forgive Riley in it's a weird one to bring, because this goes into just, I didn't love the whole Riley going to, because the story was Riley wasn't feeling needed, because at this point, Buffy had so much stuff going on with her mom. This is like right before her mom died, right? And all that, and he felt like he wasn't needed. And there's even a moment, they even tease in season 4 when he's like, or no, actually, I think it was season 5, start of season 5, when he says Buffy doesn't love me. And he felt like, and I think this is where, I guess, goes into why a lot of people don't like Riley. I can't see an argument you just don't like him because you found him boring. I can understand those reasons. He's not like, especially if you compare him to some of the other characters in that show. Obviously, he's not going to stand out. But I think it's weird to use this one too. This just because the way they write off Riley was just bad anyway. The whole him going to vampires because there's this whole thing where people can go to vamps and they can suck their blood. It's like a crack thing almost. How the Buffy the Vampire Slayer revival can. Oh God, I can already, before we even go into it, he's basically just gonna be an apologist, and they want him to be written like a cuck, and just atone for all the mean things he's done. It's so bad, man. I'm surprised they didn't even bring up, because another thing I see a lot of people hate Xander for is, if he liked Buffy in the start of season 1, and then he asked her out and she turned him down, right? And a lot of people go into Xander because he says stuff to Buffy, and he feels like, oh, he's still jealous of Buffy, of Angel. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that he wasn't jealous of Angel, but we forget he starts dating Cordelia, and then eventually Anya in season 3. So there'll be moments where stuff in like the later seasons, they'll be like, oh, you're just saying that because you're jealous of Angel. And it's even weird because then this article is mentioning the moment where he basically wanted her to forgive Riley. So he wanted Buffy to be happy. So this idea that simultaneously he's bad for doing that, but you also still think he's hung up on Buffy's weird when he has Anya. Like, I feel like Xander long moved on. And I think another moment people bring up is in one of the episodes, when the group finds out that Angel's alive still. Or when Angel came back and Buffy kept it from them. And Xander was the one really going in on her. They were saying he's only doing that because he was jealous. No. I do understand why Buffy kept it a secret, but I also understand why they're mad. The stuff Angelus did to them in season 2. Harming your friends. You don't want that to potentially happen again. And with Giles specifically, he has every right to be mad. What Angelus did to, Miss Calendar and torturing him in the end of in becoming in the finale. So it's like I understand why they were angry, and Xander to an extent has a right, at this point because the whole him and Willow cheating story was starting, and then he was with Cordelia. So it is mine. His friends could be potentially in danger again. He's like, I don't want to go through that shit again. But why is he the only one that's lamented as his worst character? But Faith, I love Faith, but she's done a lot of fucked up things. Same with Spike. You could kind of put him in that same box where they did a lot of fucked up things, but we still love them as characters. But we gotta hate Xander because he might have been mean and he makes a couple jokes about lesbians, right? Even though that was just I'm gonna say it, that was the time, and I kind of want that time back. I want to be able to just be able to joke about shit, and not everything needs to be modern day. And that's one. I guess that can go into why I'm worried about Buffy, this revival, because they're gonna just modern day it when they don't even fucking need to. It was very progressive. If you want to use that argument, I'll use it. It was. You had lesbian characters because pretty much Willow, especially towards the end, just straight up just becomes lesbian. I know bi, they say bi, but she's just into women by the end. And, you got strong female characters, multiple strong female characters. And then if you want to tie in Angel, you had a black character who's part of the main cast, who also doesn't die in the end. But yeah, Buffy isn't fucking progressive. And yeah, we got to modern day it even more. Because, yeah, they say we're retard, and Xander makes jokes about gays. When he first finds out the one guy that was bullying him in season 3 is actually gay, he has a weird response. Why is, he's a bad guy for that now? Oh, of course. I fucking knew it. I even predicted it. Oh, the Buffy revival can show him casting off his toxic masculinity. So basically, they want him to just be a male feminist. I called it. They want him to just atone for being a male and his toxic masculinity. It's like, oh my god, man. And you know what? Xander's even saved Buffy a couple times. But yeah, Xander is toxic masculine. Oh my god. Oh, Xander's neediness. What? Xander can be the big... He was already the big brother thing. Especially with Dawn. He was kind of the big brother. It was like him, and you can also throw in Spike. But Xander was kind of a big brother figure, or especially in those last 2 seasons. Yeah, he still made jokes, but he still had that big brother figure. What are we... The Xander hate is ridiculous, man. And I just kind of figure you just don't like him because he's a man. And, he made mistakes. Ugh, this is painful. This is one of the worst ones for sure. Because it's, one, they're making up shit that Xander needed to be the center of it. What are we talking about? There's moments where Xander feels inadequate, but then there's moments where he rises up to the occasion. He's the everyman character. Yeah, he makes mistakes, but so does fucking everybody in that show. Oh, I didn't even talk about Willow. There's a discussion that, the season where... Season 6, where after her and Tara argue, she erases Tara's memory. There's some people in the fandom that consider that, mind rape. I've seen that word used. But we all still love Willow. I don't know if I would consider it that. I still think it was fucked up what she did. I don't like just throwing the word rape around. That's just me. But still, we all love Willow. Obviously, the magic addiction stuff, even though I think it was bad writing more. But, He loved Anya. He clearly did. You know, he tried to stop Buffy from killing her in season 7 when she becomes a vengeance demon again. Giles made mistakes, and this is more because of the council. But that episode in season 3 where he gives her like a drug that basically takes away her powers. That whole ordeal. Giles is making. Granted, it's more bad writing. The stuff he did in season 7. The whole Scooby's not just Xander in empty places doing that whole stuff. But we still love those characters. But Xander can't make a mistake because, and I just fucking knew it. It was gonna be, oh, he has to atone for his toxic masculinity or some bullshit, and that's what they fucking want. And just the Xander hate is stupid. It's ridiculous. It's borderline. It's not even borderline. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm fine if you don't like the character, just because I get it compared to other characters. And especially even if you tie an Angel to it too, he's not one of the best characters. He just isn't. But he's still a good character, and I can make up shit like that he's needy, or he wasn't a big brother figure, even though he fucking was. If you watch seasons 5, I wouldn't even say in 5. Like once Dawn was introduced, he was almost a big brother figure. It was him and Spike. You know, he makes mistakes. Yeah, and I guess because some things they don't like when he looks down on, like when he first finds out Buffy's dating a vampire and he looks down on her, I guess. But it's like, you know, he loves Buffy. There's moments with your friends you're gonna look down on people they date. It happens. You know, am I a bad person for that now? Because I'll be honest, I've done that. Obviously not to the level he did, but I've done that before, where my friends dated someone I'm like, you can do better. You know, we all do that as friends. That's what fucking Buffy works. All these characters are flawed. I would even throw Supernatural in there. That's why I like both those shows really nailed, is you have very flawed characters that have all made mistakes. Angel. And I'm not even gonna, we can throw in the Angela stuff, but even when he's just Angel, he's made mistakes. And there's certain situations he could have handled better. But that's why we love these characters, because they're flawed in their own fucking way, because they're real. Because real people are flawed. Screenrant. And the stuff with Xander, your shit is just dumb. He's toxic masculinity. He thinks women are hot. He's never really grown, even though by season 6 he saves the fucking world. He's saved Willow, he saved Buffy, he's helped save the world even in the other seasons. What do you mean he hasn't grown as a character? Like, that's when you're like, you're not watching the show. You're either just, I don't know, like you're just tuning out shit, and you're just watching bits for sound bites or so. I don't know what. It's like, how do you, 7 seasons, how do you not realize he's grown as a character? What do you mean? What the fuck? Like, this is just a retarded article. And that's why I wanted to do this first. But we will for sure be reviewing Hard Eyes tomorrow. Because that movie is really good. That is I was talking about tomorrow about this. This is what Scream 5 should have been. It had a good reveal. You had good kills. It had a right amount of meta. That is what I want. If you're gonna have like I am really loving this like resurgence of like late 90s feeling modern slashes. Like this one, you had Thanksgiving or I guess almost 2 years ago now, or a year and a half now, and it's nice to see. And this one is another one, and it's just a good slasher in general. You have a good slasher character. I don't know if I would be okay with I theoretically think you could do a Hard Eyes 2. I don't think you need to pull a Scream every night. I still know what you did last time. I don't think you need to use the same cast. I'm fine. I think you move on to different characters. Maybe you just have it be a different couple become the lead, and and obviously you can just have it be a fucking. You can easily do a copycat thing. I'd be okay with that. You do a copycat thing, but you don't need to bring the characters from the first one back. I think you just move on to new characters. But yeah, theoretically, yeah, you can have Hard Eyes live on. Now you have a potential slasher villain now, a new slasher villain. So that's gonna be fun to talk about tomorrow. Talk about something positive. Yeah, this screenwriter article is fucking stupid. The Xander hate is fucking stupid. You know what? There's another Buffy topic I want to talk about. Um, that I saw someone bring up on Twitter. This weird thing that where people thought fucking Faith was gay because there's this whole narrative that whole her and Buffy have a thing for each. I'm like, no, they like dudes. Buffy's straight. So was Faith. Throughout the show, she has a thing for dudes. She hooks up with Xander. Obviously hooks up with Riley, even though she was posing as Buffy. She was flirty with Spike in season 7. She dances even in Angel 5x5. She was dancing with a dude. And then by the end of season 7, she hooks up with Woods, with Principal Wood. So maybe I'll talk about that in a video, and you can kind of combine it because I might just go off on that and then Destiel, just kind of that topic of like this weird shipping, because that has become a problem now. So talk about that, but this article's fucking retarded. Xander is a good character. He is very flawed, and I can understand if he's not going to be your top characters of all time in the show, because there's just so many great characters. And then obviously, I tie an Angel to it too. So yeah, he's going to be a bit lower, but he's still a good character. And there's characters I don't like, but I'm not going to make up shit that's not there. Like, no. To say he didn't have rope, like, what are you fucking smoking? Like, did you just, like, sleep through your fucking watch through of the show? Have you watched the whole thing? But anyway. That was Screenrant is Gay, Season 2, Episode 3. I'm doing this, like, seasons. Fuck it, I'm gonna keep it doing it like that. I don't know when the next one will be. We'll see if something comes up. But yeah. I'll try to see if maybe they said anything about, like, since we have that new Jurassic World Rebirth trailer. So, see if they said any stupid thing about that. But yeah, Hard Eyes review during the day tomorrow, and then Under Siege 2 review. But anyways, guys, I'm going to call it here. Subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.